The Lion in Winter is the 1968 film directed by Anthony Harvey, written by James Goldman, and this tells the story of Henry II and his three sons, and it's unclear who is going to be the one to inherit the throne. And Eleanor of Aquitaine has her own ideas who should be on the throne, and we see the brothers, going through the various emotions of what they think should happen, and Henry's turmoil, and also his relationship or lack thereof with Eleanor of Aquitaine, which I knew a little bit about. I'm not the most knowledgeable about Henry II, but I knew the bare bones. I knew the relationships and kind of what the state of the kingdom was like at this point, but certainly there was a lot for me to learn in this. Obviously, with any historical based film, I take it with a pinch of salt. I assume that it's all correct, but if you do know of anything that's factually inaccurate or maybe slightly unrealistic, please feel free to let me know. I'd be more than interested to learn about those. But generally speaking, it presented kind of what was in my mind for the beginning, actually the end of the 1100s, and I really enjoyed it. It's long. It's a long film, but I love Katharine Hepburn, and there's never enough Katharine Hepburn. So had Katharine Hepburn not been Eleanor of Aquitaine, I might not have liked it as much as I did, or it might not have sustained my attention as much as it did. I might have ended up watching it in two halves because it is over 2 hours. However, her performance and Peter O'Toole's performance, O'Toole played Henry II, I thought were absolutely brilliant. And I'm not the only person to think that either, because there are several Oscars attached to this film. Hepburn won Best Actress in a leading role. We also have Best Writing Screenplay and Best Music, which is from John Barry. And yeah, the music's really good. The way it's filmed is brilliant. It's quite a big film. There's a lot going on at any one time. There are a lot of extras. The set designs are brilliant. I'm not entirely sure how much of it were set designs and on location, but certainly visually it's really immersive. It works very well. It is long, but the narrative is, I think, very well delivered. I don't feel like anything felt like it was being dragged out. So it's not really a pacing issue. I feel like it's just a period of history, and indeed certain historical figures, where it warranted a much longer time frame, and I think that's absolutely fine. But it is just something to bear in mind, where if you're like me, and you don't particularly love exceptionally long films because you have a very short attention span, that's just something worth bearing in mind. But as I said, Katharine Hepburn I love, and she's in it quite a lot. With regards to being accurate, I don't know how accurate it is, but I feel like depending on what your knowledge is of this time period, it will be a different experience. Because for me, there was a lot of learning to do, and I really enjoyed that. If you're very knowledgeable about this period in history, it might be a different experience. And I'd love to know where you're coming from. If you are, a bit of an expert on Henry II, did you enjoy it? Did it live up to your expectations? Was it an accurate portrayal? For me, coming from the perspective of somebody who knows the bare bones about Henry II, but keen to learn more, it fit that criteria. So if you're in my position, I think you'll enjoy it. I'd be keen to know what other people think of it. I was also really pleased to see that Anthony Hopkins was in it. He plays Richard. I didn't know he was in it until I started watching it, so that was a really nice surprise for me. Really enjoyed it. Definitely a good film. Quite long. I can only assume that it's historically accurate, but definitely one that I enjoyed. I probably wouldn't watch it again, at least not all of the way through, unless I ever decide to do any writing about Henry II, in which case, yeah, I probably would go back to it. But for now, happy to have seen it once, and definitely happy to recommend it.